In the 2013 mayoral election, Bill de Blasio captured the office with 95% of the black vote, 8 out of 10 Hispanic votes, and 52% of the white vote. The Tale of Two Cities narrative outlined by the de Blasio campaign highlighted economic and civil rights inequities, and with which many black voters could identify. By all accounts, it was a landslide victory. But now there are some indications that Bill de Blasio's biggest base, the more than 9 out of 10 black voters who pulled the lever for the former public advocate, may be suffering from a bout of buyer's remorse.
Well, first there was the selection of Bill Bratton as top cop, which was met with a lot of criticism. And over time, that frustration with the lack of substantive moves to reform the criminal justice system. These are two of the main concerns being voiced by prominent members of the city's black community. And while it was just a headline in the Times, does Mayor de Blasio truly have a black problem? Here to help us examine that question and more are Esmeralda Simmons, the Executive Director of the Center for Law and Social Justice at Medgar Evers College. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And we're also happy to have Lumumba Bendele back. He's the Senior Community Organizer at the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund's Criminal Justice Practice. Welcome back to you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome. So does Mayor de Blasio have a black problem, and what is the black problem?
Well, he has a problem.
Okay.
I think the problem is more than a black problem. It's
Okay.
a credibility problem. And I don't think that the honeymoon's over as yet with the black community. I think that that's definitely leaping way too far.
Yeah.
Year 3, let's see. But right now, there's discontent, there's frustration, there's why hasn't he done this? Why hasn't he done that? Why hasn't he changed the education system? Why hasn't he taken care of, really taken care of the criminalization of our youth? And why does it seem that everything that he promised is taking so long? And the things that we want, in addition, like ending mayoral control, he's gung-ho for that.
Right. I'm in total agreement. I mean, it's unfortunate, but our communities have a very low bar. And for you to be, reaching a low bar, speaks volumes. I mean, there are very small things that you can do to get and sustain our support. And I think that's been an issue in terms of being able to develop a base of accountability, particularly within electoral politics, is something that we continue to have to struggle with. So it's reality.
Obama has faced a lot of disenchantment from folks who thought that white was going to be black the day that he was elected and everything was going to change. Right, change is coming. That was what they ran on. So he got there, but people still continued to rock with Obama. They showed up, they voted for him again, and they still support him. And to say he was even against members of political people who were elected in the Congress and the House, and there was strong opposition to this man, and he was trying to, you could say, get things to happen. But de Blasio doesn't really have that sort of thing that he's up against.
First of all, he's not the first black president. Notwithstanding his lovely wife, he is a white liberal that has a lot of ties to the black community in terms of politics. But it's very, very obvious. Yeah. I'm speaking as someone who's known him and worked with him on several campaigns, long-term relationship. There's been no outreach to the black community. He doesn't have people, or if they do, if he does, where are they? He doesn't seem to have people who are reaching out to elected officials, who are reaching out to advocates, who want to tie us in to him on issues. They don't seem to be asking us. Every time I've tried to approach the administration, it has been from my end saying, can we meet with your folks on blank?
It's not been an outreach, more reactionary. But he went to every black church in New York yesterday.
Well, but I think part of what I really think we need to look in the mirror and realize is that we sort of made this bed. I think when we put and invest so much energy into the Get Out the Vote campaigns, and we do not have the same amount of energy in developing, sustaining community organizations that provide a mechanism for accountability, what else can we expect? So we see this with black elected officials. Why would we not see it with folks who do not come home to us? So I think that there's that dynamic that we must face.
So then what is the buzz then? I mean, what's the next step? Because Harlem was buzzing yesterday.
That's it right there. That's it. You said it.
Okay.
Harlem was buzzing. This is a very different dynamic. Look at his appointments. Just think of the ones that are high profile.
Right.
Stacey Cumberbatch, Maya Wiley.
These are all uptown people.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Black Brooklyn. As opposed to the kind of entree that Harlem has been used to having.
Okay.
So this shift is uncomfortable. He has problems, but this shift is uncomfortable. And his relationship with many black elected officials in Brooklyn is very, very different than that.
This is where he's come from. So, right, this is like
That doesn't mean that people like
people.
that change.
Well, then it's not a problem that de Blasio has a black problem. He's not with the right type of black people. If you listen to Calvin Butts, then because he's like, this is. Well, I'm saying.
No, it's true. That's what everybody was talking about yesterday.
Harlem, and he's bringing all these folks from Brooklyn with him, and we've been the power base. So is this exposing schisms within the black power base? Because we've been here to talk about who are our emerging leaders when we talked about young people and Ferguson. So are these leaders asserting themselves now?
Well, I think, if he had a presence, if his administration was really in touch with the pulse of what's happening in New York City, if not just looking around the country and seeing what happened, you would see that there is a new leadership that exists. This leadership is not the typical leadership that you would see in terms of a hierarchical male figure. It actually is a collective of young people who are committed to a set of principles. Not political parties, but principles. And those principles guide the work that they're doing. Those are the people that help create the citywide environment to make the stop and frisk issue a national issue. Right. Those are the young people who created the dynamic that make people see and recognize that the Eric Garner's murder was in fact a result of broken windows, a policy that he supports. So there is a new leadership that exists. It's no question about it. The question is, do you really want to acknowledge it? Because those are the folks that were going to determine, in fact, what this next mayoral election is going to look like.
And it's not necessarily found in the four walls of a church.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's very different. So then who does the clergy represent? Who are they speaking for? Because that's the first place that a lot of elected officials show up. And I've been to a lot of black churches and I've seen everybody come through there. And I do mean everybody. So who are the elected officials trying to reach out to, and who is the clergy really speaking for?
Well, the clergy is doing what they should be doing. They're leading their flock. So there's a presumption that if a politician goes to the church, the minister will say, here, vote for Mr. X. Right. However, as Mr. Mandela has pointed out, that is not necessarily translating into the votes necessary to be elected in New York City at this point in time. New York is not getting older. The voting base is getting younger, and it's about time. It's about time. So, no, there isn't the usual hits are not going to do it. Even if you go to 125th Street and Fifth Avenue, that's not going to do it. What really needs to happen is real connections, real relationships. And I have high hopes for this mayor, but I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. I don't claim to be the new leadership. I'm definitely old guard, but I'm telling you that things have changed. Not only has there been a shift in terms of where the electorate is, and he better be happy he's from Brooklyn. But there's also a shift occurring that should be occurring in terms of who is really going to pull the votes.
Right. And I think we're looking at a shakeup of the machine. Yeah. When you talk about where's the black church, if you look within the black church, the congregants in those churches are really pushing their leadership to represent a new set of politics that was not traditionally accepted before. People are questioning our clergy's leadership around gender dynamics, around sexuality dynamics, questioning their position around poverty, questioning their politics, and all of these things.
Just questioning, period.
Yeah. Just questioning, period. And that's not a traditional thing that you do in faith-based institutions.
It's healthy.
You know what I mean? And so if that's happening within the church, recognize that this machine is being shifted, and it's going to have an impact on the next wave of elected officials that are coming out.
So in response to this, I don't know if it's in response, but some might say it's in response, the city's new Clergy Advisory Council, spearheaded by Reverend Michael Waldron Jr., so he's going to serve as the conduit between all these different leaders. But still, there's another camp that says, oh, they're just going to rubber stamp whatever the mayor says. We're really the ones who are going to force change or hold him accountable. So there's another split. Is the black vote a monolith?
No,
We see
absolutely
90,
not.
but how can it not be? If we say 95%, what 95% of people vote for anybody?
First term. First
First
term.
term.
Yeah.
First term. First term. Even beloved David Dinkins fell off second term in the black community because the expectations were so high.
Yeah.
So he has a hurdle to leap to get to that second term if he's going to depend upon continued support from the black community. Right now he still has it. But if things continue the way they've been going, I trust that they're not going to. He's a smart man. Things have to change.
So is it a question then that we need to manage our expectations, not lower the bar necessarily because it is where it is, but do we need to manage our expectations
No,
of how
I think
quickly?
it's about we need
no,
to.
no, let me finish. How quickly we expect things to happen. Where are we missing it? Because personally, I don't think that people are just voting based on whatever the leader of their religious institution is saying. I think people are saying like, that's very nice and everything, but I need to see change on the street. I need to not have anxiety when I see young boys on the corner, which is a personal experience because I see the police are all around the neighborhood. So that's my opinion, that I don't think that we're following along. But what do we need to do in order to, in terms of our expectations for our leaders, and how do we help guide and push that and keep them accountable and not lose our momentum once they get into office? So those are two things.
I think the issue is that we really need to not make it an option. Like if we have the organizing capacity to command that our expectations be met, we don't have to figure out how we do that. So I think that in essence has always been the issue. Our communities there's no way we can get around it.
Right.
We have to have a very strong and sustainable organized presence that will be our leadership. The elected officials that come out of that will represent those. They're not our leadership. Our leadership has to come from our community. So that is going to determine what the elected officials do.
Has this opened the door for Hakeem Jeffries? He's the name. He was up in Harlem. He met with the leadership. Would he have a viable run for mayor now? Do you think he's going to dial back Washington to come and run New York?
I don't think he has the least bit of desire to go to City Hall. I think he's quite happy where he is, and he's doing what he wanted to do, be in Congress. City Hall, completely different scenario, and the track is very, very different in terms of what political tracks are. But as I was saying before, I'm going to echo what Mr. Mendelli said. This is about the age-old accountability question. Our communities have expectations. Do we have the institutions in place that are going to hold those elected people we support accountable for what they promised to us? I'm still waiting for change in the specialized high school exam, okay? That was a promise. I'm still waiting on that. Our community is the one that needs to have those institutions. We can't expect someone to come in or even a minister to say, I'm doing that. That's not what ministers do. We need political organizations that will do that. Not simply, I'll endorse if you do me a favor. So that's where we are now. It's a typical sign of a community that, I'm being honest, that has not yet come of age politically when we do not have our own accountability mechanisms. That's right. And if we continue to support someone that does not support us.
Right. And I think we need to sort of reframe and shape what that actually looks like, because oftentimes people think that if you question those that you put in office, there's an issue around your loyalty or whatever. But that's actually the best kind of friend you can have.
Exactly.
Someone that can tell you, no, you're going the wrong way. Let me stop you right there.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to change the dynamic of that, because even in low-level elected offices, we need to be able to say, look, Councilman so-and-so, we support you, but this is where you're wrong. This is where this needs to happen. And that needs to be a very healthy dialogue and a very healthy process. And very calm,
rather than an adoring electorate.
So if this is the moment for that, are we sort of the planets aligning as de Blasio spent more time on the road in the last month than he has in any New York community, elevating his national profile, seemingly weighing in on Hillary, doing all. So is this the opportune moment for his base, his black base in New York, to say, hey, you want to run off there, but things aren't well at home?
Well, I think the meeting in Harlem was well timed.
Okay.
Perfect timing. Perfect time. Let's cut this right now.
Yeah.
Let's get his attention. But I don't want his attention to simply go to talking to the same ministers, the same elected officials, and thinking that everything is okay. they do not, yes, they're elected, but they do not speak for everyone. And they're not the ones, they may be questioning access to the mayor, but we're questioning results.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because we're talking about people versus issues.
Right,
Again, we get back to
Thank
the
you.
politics of personality,
Exactly.
not the problem.
Exactly.
That's right.
So then how would you both advise the mayor to improve his standing within the Black community?
That's pretty simple
That's
to
a
me.
big, I know.
No, that's pretty
we got
simple
like
to me.
90 seconds.
No. Deal with the police presence and how they deal with our community. The broken windows is still in effect. Change the policy. Stand up to Bratton.
That's right. And I'll push it even further. Replace Bratton. Bratton has never been a friend to our communities, and the fact that he continues to exist as a major part of the administration is a problem for our communities. Now, we need to make sure that happens. But even outside of criminal justice, I think a lot of what he's been talking about in terms of diversity, particularly within the cultural arts segment, is a problem. 85% of his arts budget goes to 33 organizations that are predominantly white. 15%, the remaining 15% goes to more than 1,000 organizations, arts organizations, that have to split that. So we're looking at, some smoke and mirrors and talk about diversity as opposed to cultural equity.
Right,
And so I think that there's some very specific things that we can do that are real.
Okay.
We didn't even get into Texas.
We
and
didn't.
Dom
Oh, please.
We're not
officially
even,
involved.
yeah. Thank you both so much for
Can we have
being
one word
here.
on Texas with
Can
timing?
we? Okay, we've got
we'll start
1
with
minute.
you on McKinley in this weekend.
Again, we're looking at the institution of policing nationwide that continues to be a problem. With the help of cameras, we are now seeing again that what we've been talking about for decades in our community is real. The idea that young people have to face this on a regular basis is criminal. And the fact that this cop has been placed on administrative leave is not
You saw him
enough.
pull his gun, right?
He pulls
Yes.
it. It's
Pull his gun
not
out.
enough.
Tuck and roll on the empty sidewalk.
We were
Right.
like-
It's not enough.
Yeah,
And
we
so-
both were side-eyeing that. I mean, it was, yes, I want you to,
No,
because
Texas, Ferguson, Brooklyn.
That's right.
Harlem,
Thank
wherever,
you.
right.
This assault on our community, and that's what it's been. We've been living under terroristic atmosphere, and we've gotten so used to it. We think it's normal. This is not normal police-community relations. Police aren't all bad. We need policing, but we need policing that is in the interest of the community, not attempting to fill cells. No, or quotas.
Or quotas, yeah, absolutely.
Well, keep those
Thank
camera
you.
phones charged.
Yes, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.